Facebook pages on Tunisia. So this picture and the picture of Bouazizi also, because these pictures and these videos were like a proof, so people can trust you. Because let's remember the events that took place in 2008 in the southern part of Tunisia when there were protests in Gafsa. And so many people were reported to be dead there. But there were no photos, there were no videos. And people could not believe the rumors that were saying that were people dead in Gafsa there. But when Facebook started to be famous in Tunisia and people started to use Facebook, and we have 14% of our population were using Facebook. So people, when they started to use Facebook, they started maybe to have some trust in the information that was there. So the videos and the videos of snipers that were in Tunisia contributed to the circulation and the spread of the protests on Facebook. And we were making alliances from different cities, and we were planning the events. For example, we say people in Sfax, in the south, should go and protest after 2 days. People from Gafsa should go and protest after 2 days. People from the other one should protest next week. And we were gathering these people under the same umbrella, which is Facebook. And what we noticed also that the protests in Tunisia were led by the youth. And as you can see, the picture there, look at the faces, they're mainly youth. Because the youth were afraid of their future. They were afraid of their right to preserve their dignity. And people say that the Tunisian revolution was a Jasmine revolution. I don't think so. I don't think it was a Jasmine revolution. It was a dignity revolution. So it was called Jasmine revolution maybe because for touristic reasons. To say to people, let's go and visit Tunisia, the Jasmine revolution happened there. No, it was not Jasmine revolution, it was a revolution about dignity.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but I think this issue of dignity is so important that when you think of Bouazizi, that's why he immolated himself.
That's why, because police agents slapped him on his face, and that was ridiculous, and that touched his personality and his dignity. And so that's why people started to be afraid about their future, and especially the youth. Personally, I'm studying international relations, and Ben Ali's regime started to think to make an end to international relations because they were afraid of people who graduated from this specialty, and they talk on CNN or on BBC on Ben Ali's atrocities in English. So there was a decision to stop this specialty, and this is my last year, and I don't know what to do next year because we don't have a master's degree in Tunisia. So this is an example from, I don't know.
Well, you're in the right place. We have that here. We have master's degrees here. Yeah. Thank you for your courage. Just let me ask a really quick question. I want to get to Khadija. And that is, I think a lot of people will be surprised that the internet is so widespread in a country like Tunisia that Facebook would have that kind of impact. Yeah. Is it that widespread, or were there other means of distributing the information? Because I know that was true with Oscar back in Colombia in 2007. It wasn't, the internet was kind of just started the ball rolling.
Yeah. Well, Facebook is very, very spread in Tunisia. We don't ask you, we have a joke. We don't ask you have an identity card, you have a Facebook account. So it's widespread. As I told you, 14%. It's the highest rate in Africa, in the continent. So the 14% compared to 10 million people is a very high rate.
Thank you. I want to turn to Khadija. Khadija, you are a scholar. You are a veteran advocate for women's rights in Tunisia. As Tunisia works to build democracy, what are the priorities for women in terms of their role in the political and economic life of the country? And really, how important have women been, not just in Tunisia, but in Egypt and in other democracy movements in Arab nations?
Well, women have been very active in the Arab world for years now. I wanted to say a few things, few remarks after listening to so much and so many things, if you allow me.
Sure.
Listening to Dr. Saad al-Din earlier, and whom I met several times before at other meetings, and I knew about all his the problems that he had with the Egyptian regime. But so, I mean, the Arab Spring was, as what he said, had started earlier, and it had started earlier in Tunisia. It had started in Iran as well. Unfortunately, it was cut short in a very dramatic way. An example of the kind of censorship that we had in Tunisia on internet. I mean, I would get into my Facebook account or my Yahoo account, get a message, click on the message, and the message would disappear. You would not even find it in the, trash. If I sent my messages, some of them arrived, reached their destination, many of them didn't. Or when they reached their destination, the person who received the message had the same problem. So they would say, Khadija, what happened? You sent me a message and I could not even open it. It disappeared. These things disappeared, stopped completely on the 14th of January. Yeah. Completely. On Facebook, for example, I would receive a message from Layla. No, I don't want to use the name Layla. Let's say Najet, who wants to become my friend. I look at the picture. She looks nice. I don't know her, but okay. The next day, I find, listen, this Najet is friend with Layla Ben Ali. My goodness. So I would just, I would not make any remark. I would just stop writing to that person. But what is, and another time I had this with the photo of Ben Ali himself. What I wanted to tell also is that I am a member of Amnesty International. I am member of no political party. I have never been a member of any political party. But I attended meetings, for example, with Tariq al-Jadid. And there was a picture of me with Ahmed Ibrahim and other people standing up singing Humat al-Hima, the national anthem. Well, I got involved into a problem. I was called by the political police for forwarding a message that had been sent to me. And they told me, we know everything about you. And we know everything about everybody. They knew the message. I had not written the message. They knew the name of the person who had sent me the message. But it had to be me. And I had to appear 4 times in court. I was condemned to 8 months jail without execution. But that means that I had to be very careful about whatever I was saying, about whoever came to my house, about wherever I went. The police was watching me, that my telephone was, I could hear that they were listening to my telephone calls. Okay, this is just to give you an idea about censorship in Tunisia, and I suppose it's the same elsewhere. Now, so I have been involved with the feminist movement, and Tunisia, as you may know, is a pioneer in terms of women's rights. I mean, this is not new. In 1956, Bourguiba promulgated the Code of Personal Status, which abolished polygamy, etc., repudiation, gave women the right to study, to work, etc. We have only a few things that we want to obtain and that may be difficult, one of them being inheritance, equality in inheritance. And this is a difficult issue.
But by the way, do you think that because women had such high, had more rights in Tunisia compared to most other Arab countries, in fact, I think probably all Arab countries, that was that a factor in the success of the uprising?
We women have taken a very active part in this revolution. When this revolution started, I mean, it was a sort of fever. It's at the beginning, that many people never wanted to hear about Facebook because they were afraid. But you cannot imagine the number of people that are now in Facebook. Men, women, etc. Yes, women have taken a very important part in the revolution, and they mean to say it, to stress it, because the revolution started in the regions. It started with instigated by youth, but women were present everywhere.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please. Amar, let's turn to Syria, which you fled in 2005, fearing for your life. Today you lead a foundation that promotes democracy in the Middle East, and you also maintain the Syrian Revolution blog that's tracking the demonstrations in Syria and posting evidence of the violent attacks against peaceful civilians, hundreds of people killed. What lessons have Syria's protesters taken from Tunisia and Egypt? And also, under what conditions would Bashar al-Assad either lead a transition to democracy, if that's at all possible, or decide to get out of the way?
Well, first of all, I think one of the most important lessons that we've taken out of Tunisia and Egypt is not to be afraid. And in that once we make a stand, once we take to the streets, once we show the security officers and we show the political apparatus that we are not afraid of them, more people, first of all, will join us. And second of all, they themselves will become terrified. We've learned that the regime really is more afraid of us than we are of it. So once we made that psychological realization, we created a scenario on the street that, what you can see in the videos that we post on YouTube, people go to the streets and they face security officers and snipers and tanks, that are shooting straight at them, and that they still remain, and they raise their hands and they say, peaceful, we're coming in peace. In a sense, it's like that they're aliens from outer space telling us, we're coming in peace, take us to your leader. It's really mind-boggling how we moved from a culture of complete submission to the leadership to a culture of complete defiance, even foolish defiance, in the face of terror, in the face of sniper attacks, in the face of really mindless violence on part of the authorities. But once we have reached this point, it's for this reason that we believe that there is no way back. There is no way that we can accept the status quo ante. That there is no way that we can go back to our homes and forget about the revolution. I think the young people in the street, those who have broken the barrier of fear, those who have risked their lives, those who have lost comrades, brothers, sisters, there is no way they can go back now and accept a return of the state of normalcy under the Assad rule. This is a self-organizing movement. This is a movement that started on the grassroots level, outside the traditional network of oppositional forces. These are young people who never used to be politicized, who discovered that the only way they can be free is to actually be politicized and to take to the streets day after day and to demand their freedom. In the beginning, it was a local movement that sought to raise concern about certain issues. Now it became immediately about dignity, about freedom, about the future. So it's a referendum on the popularity of Assad itself. In 2007, when Assad ran for a referendum in which people had only two choices, either say yes or say no. And of course, most people said yes. Bashar al-Assad did not have any political program. He did not offer a platform for reform. The only slogan that was raised is, we love you. people were expected to dance in the street and to say, we love you, Bashar al-Assad. Now they're dancing in the street and saying, we hate you, take your party with you and get out.